I'm always thinking about the Cabrillo Festival year round. I mean, the literal planning for every festival starts probably around November. But I think you have to remember that I'm always listening to new music. I'm always getting new scores. I'm creating lists of works that I'd like to do, lists of composers. So what happens is around November, I start compiling my lists and trying to get the sort of the main works that I'm interested in featuring on the festival identified. Once I do that, then I start to build out from those works, and that takes a couple months. Then, after I have those sort of building blocks, the landmark pieces that I want to feature, often they involve soloists, and I'm trying to identify whether the particular soloist I want can do the engagement. So once we have those things in place, then I try to build out from those and use those really as my um, framework to hang everything else. So I'm trying to add works that complement those works, that amplify those works, that perhaps contrast those works. And then there's another component for me. I'm trying to build relationships here between audience and composer, between musicians and composer. So I want to have returning composers, people that have become friends. I want to have a percentage of returning composers. I want to have a percentage of new composers that are really emerging, just starting out. And then I also want to have a small percentage of very established composers that perhaps we haven't had a relationship with. So it's a balance for me of trying to get the right mix of new, old friends, new people to the family. It's really a lot about relationship building for me. Once I've identified composers that I think would be interesting for the festival, who speak to me, who I feel I could really champion, then I get the scores and I start trying to really delve into getting to know the composer, getting to know these works. It's a long process. It's a lot of music, obviously, and it's all music that I haven't done before. So, one of the steps in the process is often for me is emailing with the composer, questions I have about the piece, questions about the intent. For example, I have something I do every time I do a piece of John Adams. I have a conference call set up with him. I want him to take me through the piece and really talk to me about the motivation behind the piece and then very specific thoughts he has on each movement, each section. And ultimately, I will do that with every composer. There's just something instinctual about building these programs. After listening and knowing so much contemporary music, I try to just go with my instinct about what pieces will fit together on a program. There are a lot of challenges in building programs, whether it's programs of contemporary music or standard programs. Here, I think my guiding rules are the music has to be good. It has to be something my audience would want to hear. The musicians would want to play. There has to be some value. There has to be a reason why I would want to program these pieces. And that actually is very freeing because that's not terribly strict in terms of a programming approach. Good music, everybody wants to play it or hear it. I mean, it doesn't mean everybody has to like it. That's that's a matter of taste. But that said, I think there are a lot of challenges because I'm constantly receiving, people know I do the Cabrillo Festival and they know I program a lot of contemporary music during my season. So I receive a lot of new scores every day. I try to listen to everything that comes in. I try to familiarize myself through publishers with the new composers out there. When a composer I know writes a new piece, I immediately get a CD or a sound file these days. So I think, there's a matter of quality and quantity here that I have to cope with almost every day. I try to really spend some time on the Cabrillo Festival, whether literally or at least conceptually, probably every week of my life. the real exhilaration comes when the music comes to life with the orchestra. When I feel, okay, we get this piece. Those are the great aha moments. And that usually it doesn't necessarily come at the first rehearsal, because with new music, it really has to grow, and you have to hear it and you have to experience it. It's almost all these pieces I'm doing for the first time. So it's not only the physicality of conducting the piece and developing an interpretation, but it's also the first time for all the musicians. So the learning curve is very steep and very rewarding, I think, on every level. And those aha moments, I think, are what I live for.